we were kids, but the problem was that my best buddy Billy Brown's bunny Bobby did bite me, and boy did it hurt. And ever since then, I've kind of had a prejudice against rabbits as pets. I think it's not for me.
TJ, we went live.
Oh, that's a burden off of my mind. Welcome everybody to Sawdust Talk episode 138 with Logan Newman.
Hola.
Hola, indeed. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun things that we've done since we've become fast friends just under a month ago. Well, I guess it's a little over a month ago.
A little
How
over a
are you
month.
people? Where's my horse? But we got to take a lap through sponsors real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. The first of which is Hannah over at Surf Prep Sanding Systems. Let me tell you a thing or two about Surf Prep abrasives. They're wonderful. Look at that. This fella knows a thing or two about Surf Prep. We know a thing or two about Surf Prep. If you're not using Surf Prep and you've got some plebeian Cubitron on your tools, what are you doing? Cut it out. Come to Surf Prep. Come be one of us and use coupon code Sawdust Talk to save a couple of bucks while you do it. Helps keep the show going. Other fun things that we can discuss is Makers for St. Jude is wrapping up its year. They did a kick-ass job of raising, I'm pretty sure, almost $40,000. I don't know if we've crossed the threshold yet, but we got to be scraping at it. Mike and all of the internet makers that participated are wonderful human beings. They've done amazing things, and childhood cancer sucks. And if you make cool stuff and you want to do cool stuff for cool people with your cool stuff, you got to reach out to Mike over at Woodworker versus Cancer or Makers for St. Jude. Get signed up. And start participating in raising money to help fight childhood cancer and support families going through some really hard stuff. We also need to thank Layla over at Casey Bombshell Designs. She can get you hooked up with a sweatshirt that looks a lot like this. She's also a wonderful scroll saw artist, and she is hosting our portal to buy merch. So buy merch. Help support her, help support us. And if you are in the giving mood and you want to help support us, check us out at Patreon/Sawdust Talk. It's pretty cheap, $5 a month, helps buy us coffees and get us to events so that we can see you guys in person. Take a little bit of sting out of those airplane tickets to get us there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Logan,
Yes.
thank you, sir. It's a late night. It's the night before Thanksgiving.
Woo.
How are you?
I am. I have to be honest. I am really excited about turkey. I was having a conversation with my wife. Unfortunately, she has put off balancing our books for the sale of the jigs and our website and Etsy. So that means that my turkey will not go in until later in the morning, and I won't be eating until later in the afternoon. And I'm a little disappointed about that. I've been crying about it off and on. I haven't told her that. I made the mistake of asking her what time possibly she thought we might eat, and I don't want to say that she bit off my head, but apparently that was not the question I was supposed to ask.
I mean, were you rooting for a midday turkey? Like, did you want dinner at noon so that you could sweat it out
No,
and have turkey again, like at 9?
no, I never think about that. Never ever. But I should have turkey at least by 3:30 so that I can have the pie at 4:30 and more turkey at 7.
Okay. And I understand where you're coming from with that, and I think it's a reasonable expectation.
I told you I truly believe that these next 4 days are God's gift to me, in that I have turkey, I have cold turkey sandwiches, and then I have hot turkey sandwiches with gravy, and then mashed potatoes, and then I have cold turkey sandwiches, and maybe even turkey with my eggs. I don't know, eggs and turkey, and I really like to eat all the turkey.
I love
Yeah.
that for you.
And then do you do a turkey salad as well? Are you like a chip chop the turkey and then do celery and mayo and whatnot?
No, no, I don't want to pollute the turkey. I don't want to do that to it.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't think
so
it's fair.
you're a freebase purist
I,
turkicanist.
yeah, I believe that I shouldn't do anything with it. It is in its purest form, and it has to be the dark meat for almost everything. except for I can do the white meat on some of the sandwiches. You know, it just
It's
the
not
dark
good.
meat is so much better. No.
No,
So
Okay,
anyway,
well,
well,
thankfully,
good. I'm waiting.
the
now
other
I'm
side of my
starving.
family is a white meat side, and my family's all dark meat, so like it works out okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm starving. Thank you for that. I want to go to bed so I can get up and make food. Um,
I'm excited.
so Logan, I've talked to multiple people who are like, isn't that guy a teacher? And I'm like, mm-hmm. So I want you to tell people about that side of you.
I am really impressed that you talked to multiple people and they knew who I was. That was exciting. Two of them. Multiple is two. That is fair. That is fair
Both
to
of
say.
them.
So she talked to you and one other person. I get it. I am a teacher. I teach high school full time, which can be a bit much. But the nice thing is, I created a program. So I've been teaching. This is my 24th year, and I started teaching um, in 2001. Whatever. I moved up here to Rochester, and I started teaching entry level science and the ninth grade freshman biology. And then I started teaching AP bio a couple years later, you know, the advanced placement stuff, because I have a degree in biology, more microbiology. And then about 10, 11 years ago, a friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, how would you like to create a program teaching kids to make glasses?" And I said, "Absolutely, that's my jam," because I was an optician in the Navy. So I was able to, from the ground up, create curriculum, create a program where I teach kids to make glasses. They work with patients, they work with doctors, and then we give glasses out for free to kids in the district. We are actually in the, depending on the metric you use, the fourth or fifth highest poverty area in the nation. So it's important, you know, with the number of glasses I get to give out. And you'll have to excuse me. I have been fighting this throat, chest, sinus thing for a week and a half, and it's just it's
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
terrible.
we've got ragweed going crazy in St. Louis right now. I think my whole house is allergic to it.
We don't have ragweed. We're lucky not to have snow right now. So
Where are you at, Logan?
Rochester, New York. So it's
Okay.
Yeah, it
yeah,
should be snowing, right, at
it
all times.
it usually is. This has been the warmest winter I think ever. So that's my story.
I love that.
So when you are making glasses, how do you guys source optical glass?
Well, it's all polycarbonate. The lenses are plastic, you know, polycarbonate lenses, and we buy the lenses. You buy it in a 60 to 75 millimeter blank, and then the kids have to learn how to fit that to the patient so that the prescription fits the patient, and then make it using the machines and cut it for the frame that the person picked. And so we buy everything. There's a place locally to us, oddly enough, called Rochester Optical, because I think they were called that because they're in Rochester. Uh, I'm quick with these assumptions. Like I can make.
Yeah, I really think you might have nailed that one though.
I'm 92% sure, but so we buy a lot of stuff from them. There's another company called Modern Optical out of Florida that we get stuff from, and so thankfully we have a grant from New York State that allows us to purchase this stuff. I was actually just talking to one of our state reps the other day because my worry always is with, you know, the changing winds of the world, we might lose our funding, and you know, I worry about how I'm going to continue to fund that. But then I realized, well, if I wanted to start doing a charity, I could probably get enough people interested because what we do is so different. It's so much fun being able to give out glasses to kids. I went, it was the cutest thing. So every other day I travel, I go to elementary schools, and I will walk into the school, and the nurses and the secretaries, they all know me. And it is weird to me because they'll call up and they'll go, "We need so and so down in the office. Logan's here." And they hang up. I'm like, they don't know who Logan is. But they do here. They know they're here to fix the glasses. So these kids come down, and yesterday I had to fit a kid. I was giving him a new pair, and another kid needed his fit. fixed, and this girl brought them down, and I was talking to the boy and girl, probably third or fourth grade, and I was like, "Oh, you guys ready? It's Thanksgiving. How exciting! Are you going to eat lots of turkey? Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I like turkey on Thanksgiving.
Do you
And
like?
so I do. It's
Do
one of
you
those
like
things.
turkey? Like how
Yeah.
much turkey?
Is it
I will.
specifically on Thanksgiving, or like could it be a Tuesday and you could wreck a turkey as well?
I probably could, but it is really this weekend that I love the turkey. I mean, that's not fair. I have them on, over the holidays, and I like it then too. But anyway, so the little girl, I said, "Are you excited for Thanksgiving turkey?" She says, "Well, I don't really like turkey." She goes, "I'm thankful for it, but I'm not going to have any." It's adorable.
We lost his audio.
I think you're back though. She was thankful, but she's not going to have any something words in
She was just.
adorable.
It was just the cutest thing. She goes, she said, I'm thankful for the turkey, but I'm not going to have any." And it was just so cute how earnest she was, and how, yeah, right. It was like, "I'm very thankful for it." All right.
Does it make you want to bring her turkey?
No.
Because you want all the turkey.
That turkey's mine. That is mine. I do. My favorite is cutting the turkey, because you get those 2 spots of dark meat underneath it, and you're like,
Oysters, buddy. No, I know what you're talking about.
"Yeah, you guys stay out there. The turkey."
So I have a silly Thanksgiving tradition that I like to share with people, just so that I can sort of Philly Mouskowitz the idea that maybe we're both experiencing the same thing. But at 12 o'clock noon Central Time, every year since like the 70s, KC 95 plays Alice's Restaurant. And
Okay.
so at like 11:55, I'm sitting in my car, idling in the driveway, waiting for Alice's Restaurant to start. And then when it begins, I back out of my driveway and I drive to White Castle and I buy a bunch of sliders in the name of bringing some home to make White Castle stuffing, because I used to really like that, but we don't really eat it now. But, like the tradition started.
Yeah.
So now I go get a couple belly bombers to pregame
Yeah.
my turkey experience, and or potentially make room.
You have to expand the stomach. It's like a workout. You have
Yeah.
to make sure that you.
No, I mean,
work
like
out
if you're
the stomach.
doing reps, you got to start early, right? You
Right.
can't eat all day if you just start in the afternoon. Come on.
Right. No, it's a good idea.
But yeah, and then so I drive around eating belly bombers and listening to Alice's Restaurant, and then I come home. But yeah, if anybody else wants to indulge in the Alice's Restaurant Thanksgiving Day Massacre, 12 noon Central on KC 95.
You'll have a parade of you and a bunch of other cars going there.
I literally just learned about the White Castle stuffing today.
I just learned about it right now.
On the old Tiki-Taki. We don't have White Castle here. So why would I know about it?
Nope. There's no White Castle.
I can only do what I can do.
Wait, there's no White Castle in Rochester?
Nope.
Oh. Have you guys ever been to White Castle, like in your adventures?
Nope.
Okay, so you may recall that like sliders were a craze that hit like 8 years ago.
I know what sliders are. I definitely know what sliders are.
Yeah, okay. Well, every slider that's not White Castle wishes it was White Castle. But the problem is that I don't think White Castle wants to be White Castle. Like, that's the other side of this discussion, because it's like only barely good, right? Like,
that's what I heard.
Yeah, like if you close your eyes and think about what a burger tastes like, and then you bite White Castle, you're probably going to be disappointed.
What the hell? Why would anybody go there?
Well, because they're cheap and you can eat a lot of them, and they're greasy belly bombers.
Ugh.
And when they cook the patties, they cover the patties in white onion, and so the onions get sweat out into the burger patties, and it's pretty good.
Okay, I'm calling this. We need to stop talking about food, because you're making me A, very hungry, and B, I want to talk more about Logan's stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll send you guys pictures, but yeah.
Yeah. I do. The one thing I do think is important to make sure that we mention here is that you have to save room for pecan pie. Um, or is it pecan pie?
I'm Southern enough. It's
Pecan.
pecan,
Pecan.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
but the trees are pecans, just in case you're wondering. But it's pecan pie.
Okay. Fair
Pecan.
enough. Pecans.
So without getting too hungry, Logan, talk to us more about what you do. And you said nobody knows who you are, which I think is insane because you can't have a follower count without people knowing who you are.
But here's the thing. I don't often show myself. It's usually either, well, you sometimes will see my belly sticking into the camera, but it's usually my hands, right? My workbench. Like, 9 times out of 10, they don't know who I am. It's usually just those things. So, I build stuff, and that's anytime you ask that question, like as we know at Maker Camp, when you meet someone who's never met you, the one of the first questions is, "What do you do? What do you make?" Right? And I was like, I just like to make things, whatever I can. You know, I uh, I was talking about this last week, and I really do. It took me a long time to come up with who I was. At one point, oh, I'm a problem solver. If you have a problem, I can figure out a solution. And I could solve problems at the house, so I got to do this. And then I was like, well, you know what? I like to think things through. I'm a this, I'm a that. But then I really realized I'm not a woodworker. I'm a maker. I like to use wood because that's what I'm most comfortable with. But I just really enjoy the act and the art of making things. And for me, it's usually making things that'll solve a problem. I love a good table. I like making a coffee table, but reality, I haven't done this in years, but I love making those coffee tables that would fold up, right? So you had
Yeah.
that extra space. You want that perfect space for your house. Let me make that. Let me figure out how to do it for you. I just like doing that stuff.
Okay, but you also can't say that nobody knows who you are because there is a literal tool
Yeah, that's pretty
that
cool.
is a Logan's tool.
That's pretty cool. The pocket hole machine.
Please
Is
talk
that
about that.
That's from Maxiwa. So Maxiwa has been, I want to say, sponsoring me, but not really because I don't. It's not a finance. That's fantastic.
Shit
I'm gl-
happens.
I'm glad you put that time into putting that up.
All
Um,
45 seconds.
yeah, it was up there for 18, 20 minutes. Um,
Sorry for
so
those that can't see what's happening right now. TJ had a very nice paneled backdrop that just fell behind him.
it's
So
like
be it.
one of those. So like one of those Zoom calls.
Mhm.
Um,
It's
and
the
then
night
the nice.
before Thanksgiving, and we've had an emergency plumber at the house for the last 3 hours. Shit's gonna happen,
It's
literally.
fine.
Yeah, literally. I don't even want to know how much that's going to cost you. So, yeah, right. So, Maxiwa, I've been working with them. They contacted me last year. I initially turned them down, and then they came back to me with a slightly different offer. And part of that offer actually was that they would fly me to an event like IWF. So, and I would get a table saw, and we would work through with that. And the saw is great. I love the saw. So they flew me down to IWF. I did lives. We did a giveaway, and at the end, it was actually pretty cool. Like I was only supposed to do one live and maybe one pre-live, and I did a bunch of them. I went on and I talked to people and I did stuff to show off. And at the end of my time, they said the president wants to talk to you. Now, Maxiwa is a Brazilian company. They've been in Brazil for 40 years. They've only been in the U.S. for about 10. And so the owner of the overall Maxiwa brand, there's a Maxiwa overall, and then there's a Maxiwa USA. He doesn't speak any English. He speaks Portuguese. So they pull me into the office at IWF, this little room that they've built out there. And we sat down with the social media manager and someone else there, talking through him talking through them. And basically he said, we really appreciate everything that you've done. You did a great job down here. I was talking to customers. I was doing all sorts of stuff. They said, we did this in Brazil where we named a machine after a social media influencer, and it, it worked out well down there. We did basically what they did was almost a competition where they narrowed it down to two people, and then they had those two people go. And they said the only caveat to this is that it has to be a machine that we make in Brazil. It can't be one of the ones that they make elsewhere and bring the parts over. So unfortunately, that left only really the pocket hole machine and the edge bander. And I mean, to me, it would have made more sense. I would have loved to have seen it on the table saw, um, because I think that obviously for the majority of us, neither of you need a pocket hole machine, right? I mean, not need, are going to buy one. You don't. You're not. Most of us aren't going to buy one. They are really cool. It is exceptionally helpful if you're doing a lot of pocket holes
Mm.
on pieces. If you're doing cabinetry, anything like that, it's so useful. I did. Um, I had to do the ends of 10 2x4s the other day. Both
Was that for
ends of
your
the
table?
um, it was for, yeah, it was for a piece that I actually was building a base for an epoxy pour. So I did a base and then plywood on the top.
Mm.
So I
Hmm.
wanted to make sure it was square and everything else. So I did 10 2x4s, both ends pocket hold, in 2.5 minutes. Like, yeah, it was. I got done. I was like, that's pretty freaking cool, you know. But but again, it's $4,000 for the machine, and they're doing a dust collection unit. It's a great deal, but the majority of us people in who are working full time and doing this on the side, it's, I'm not making that many cabinets that it's going to be
Yeah.
something I would be able to justify spending that kind of money. So they said that to me, we would like to do this, and I said I'm happy to do it. I can make no guarantees that anybody's going to buy one. I don't know. And they're like, no, we understand. We just want to try it. So I know that we've sold one of them, which I think is really, really cool. And I
Aw.
get it. I do get a commission from it too. So um,
Well, it has your name on it, obviously.
it's pretty cool.
That's
Like
so
who,
cool.
who thinks that some company is going to sell a machine with their name on it,
I think it's
right?
awesome. I think it's
So
pretty amazing.
yeah, it makes me happy. The only other tools that have my name on it are ones that I'm selling. So,
Yeah.
and I don't even brand my own ones. I don't even put my name on mine. It's just
You
it's an extra.
don't?
No, I did at the beginning, but it wound up being just an extra step that, when I had 30 of them to get out, I was like, this is not that important to me. I include a sticker. Well, now I have a company that fulfills them for me.
Hmm.
So for me to ask them to do it would have also increased the cost, which I didn't want to have to pass on to the consumer. You know,
So do you make the majority of your sales off of Etsy at this point? Or like where is that
I
business
have
wise?
a I have an Etsy. I was actually just talking about this today. Someone reached out and asked. So I have an Etsy page and a Shopify store. I set up the Shopify so that specifically two reasons. Number one, it was at the point where people were saying that Etsy was selling children and that you could buy a child by looking. Yeah, you didn't hear about this? About 6 months ago, it was this whole big thing where if you if you purchased a photo that showed a child, right? It was, you were purchasing the frame, but if it showed the child, you were actually buying the child. And I don't know. So there was a big uproar for a couple of weeks, and so people were like, "I won't buy anything through Etsy. They're doing this."
Mm.
It was all obviously proven wrong, but my first thought was, well, I'd better set up a Shopify. Etsy charges sets, does the fees and everything. So the other part was you can't link Etsy to your social media accounts. So with a Shopify store, I can have a store on Instagram or TikTok where people could go and buy stuff. Um, so I set up the Shopify, and this is what I was talking about today. Do you guys have Etsy?
Mm-mm.
I have set up an Etsy, but
All right, so you know that there's fees for listing, and then there's fees when they sell, and then right, and it's a pain in the butt, but everything is encapsulated within Etsy. They will do marketing for you. They'll do ads. If you have a star seller badge, they'll promote your stuff. It is all inclusive, and one of the things that we've discovered, my wife as the bookkeeper, as I mentioned earlier, she has to rectify the books and figure out where discrepancies are. And it's pretty easy with Etsy. With Shopify, she always has a much harder time. Um, you know, especially at the beginning, we would get like double billings. So it would say that this person bought it, and then there'd be a separate charge for them to have bought it again. So then she had to go through and figure these out, right? And then bless you. And then the other problem is that if you change like a shipping label or anything on in the Shopify platform, it can actually disable the ability for people to buy. So I had a couple of different times where thankfully people reached out to me and said, it says you don't ship to my zip code and I'm in the United States. So then it would be that I changed a setting, and by changing that setting it changed the shipping, which like it just threw everything off. So Shopify is great if you have someone who can run it, but it is a pain in the butt to try and run. So I'm selling through both Shopify and Etsy, but if I had to suggest to somebody, I would just say stick to Etsy.
I've heard negative things about Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
well, evidently
Absolutely.
you can buy children.
Well, that was a story I heard, but then it turned out not to be true. But you can buy turkey.
Oh, that's a plus.
This is coming full circle.
Another
Full
another point
circle.
for Etsy. So let's talk about us kicking it at Maker Camp this year.
That was fun.
Like that was a hoot and a half, and I feel like the people that were in that tent for most of the weekend were some of the most righteous folks that I've met in person.
Dude, everybody, I love going there because everybody is so nice. Everybody is so, they just want to have a good time and they just want to get along and have fun doing things that
Hmm.
are outside their normal area.
Yeah, I
Can't
felt like the rascalism was kept to just like a low roar in general.
Well, I will say that I did not drink as much this year as I did last year. Um, but that was also intentional. I drank last year. I see. I've made this mistake twice now, and I dislike myself when I do it. I drink so much that the next day I am utterly useless until I start drinking again, and then you're like my whole day is gone. I've wasted an entire day,
Yeah.
and I really hate that. So I'm not an idiot. Just stop.
Can you tell the fine people of the podcast world about your quarters for staying at Maker Camp because it was fun.
I can honestly say that I I almost felt like Genghis Khan. I didn't have a harem, but I did have a yurt. I rode in on my chariot, and I unloaded my wares and slept in a yurt as a king of yore. And it was fantastically cold the first night. I really should have done what my wife said, that was bring more blankets, and I did not. So I had to go the next day and buy more blankets. And but it was cool. Like I mean, come on. I brought a heater. It was actually really nice in there the second night. Um, and even with the rain, it wasn't bad. We
Yeah.
had some water come in because the yurt was a little short, but It was fantastic. I enjoyed the yurt.
It was so cool.
We called ourselves the Yurt Park Boys.
The yurt park.
Okay.
Yep. I made bottle openers
The
for him that said
fellas
yurt.
who was setting those yurts up and selling them hung out around the lathe and was kicking it with me for a fair bit of the weekend. I ended up making him a sort of kitless body for an ink pen or an X-Acto knife insert or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, you
Cool,
had fun over there too. You were busy as all get out.
Yeah. Gave lessons and
not to me.
wondered where Pat was and
I have never turned on a lathe. Well, I guess I've never turned. Yes, because I've turned in bed. I've turned the turkey, but I've never turned on a lathe.
Back to the turkey.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to turn it if you really want to get your dressing up inside of there, right? So, like, he's a man of principle.
Actually, and I just want to see if you guys have heard. Have you heard about the Butterball turkey recall?
Yes.
Speaking of getting your dressing up in the turkey,
how about that? We'll let the world do some Googling.
I will say that they did respond and say that video was from like 20 years ago or something.
Nice.
Is that better? That means we were all children.
Okay, that's disgusting too. So I don't want to talk about it.
I didn't even hear about it. My students told me about it.
Ugh.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
May our robot overlords at TikTok live on in eternity, I suppose. But like, we don't need that info. I was doing so good being ignorant of its existence.
Yes.
Yeah. In this case, ignorance truly was turkey flavored bliss, and now. Well, we just pick a different brand, I suppose.
Well, I mean, the important thing is that we don't eat, cream turkey.
Yes, that's probably for the best. The Bridge City folks were the ones that got you. Harvey Tools and Bridge City got you to Maker Camp this year?
No. They helped out Ryan.
Ryan, okay. So I saw you were standing over there a bunch.
Well, so Ryan's my buddy, and he had originally talked to me and said, do you want to do this with me? And I had talked to Harvey about something like a year and a half ago, and then they completely stopped responding to me. They never talked to me. They everything was set up, and then they dropped me. So I said to Ryan, I was like, I just don't see it happening. So I reached out to Nancy from Fox Hollow and said, I want to help out in the restoration station, because that really was my favorite tent. Like, just restoring the planes, helping everybody doing that. And so I was in there, and I would run over and help Ryan occasionally when when I got food for myself. I brought him food because, dude, he was on the entire time.
Yeah, he was
in character. Yeah, and then
as was my daughter.
Little Jessie was back there making sticks left and right.
That's what I said. Like when she was there, he was. You go do it. At one point, and he ran off while I was standing there, and I was like, talk to her. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, she loved it so much. It was great. Yeah, Nancy's wonderful. I can't say enough good about that woman. She is just like the kindest human soul ever, and she's so knowledgeable. Like I adore the crap out of her.
She was fantastic. Like I said, I just appreciated her taking me on, but it was great working with all of them over there.
Yeah, the folks over at the Highland booth also, their generosity surprised me through the whole weekend. They gave me a gorgeous burl.
Oh wow!
To turn into a bowl, and I mean, it worked out to being about an 11-inch across by 3.5-inch deep.
Oh, cool
bowl.
Oh wow!
Hey, Jesse made a bowl. That was a cutting board that Highland donated to us.
Cool. That is really cool. I
didn't actually make it. TJ had to finish it because if you look at my videos, it looked like I was gonna poop my pants with the lathe because it scared me.
But we did really good with that one as well.
I really, it's one of those things I want to do. Except for the fact, everybody says you should try it and you'll want to get one. And that's my thing is I really don't want to get one. I don't want to enjoy it so much that I want to do it because I don't know where I would put it.
Okay, well then we'll make it exclusively something you do once a year when you're proximal to me.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's a deal.
Well, and I was upset because Pat was going to teach me this year too. I had talked to him and I was like, you need to teach me. And he didn't.
Pat was very popular that weekend.
Poor Pat.
Yeah, dude couldn't take 30 steps without a hug and a photo. Like it was just all weekend.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you are a kind, sweet fella.
I know. He paid me the most lovely compliment I got in 2024. And I can't say it on Sawdust Talk, but it was really, really sweet.
Yeah, that sounds like
You
him.
tell us after we're done.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like him.
Yeah.
He is a sweetheart.
Yeah. So like I said, you were bustling over there and everything was just a great tent, a lot of good people. And Vic from Melbourne Tool Company.
Was he right next to me?
Yep.
Yeah, doing all the hand tools and stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that dude had a great setup and he was so sweet and he let me stash my tools under the table like overnight and during setup and stuff. Like he was just a delight.
Oh, he's the nicest guy ever. And then last week on my talk, I don't have a name for my podcast because it's not a podcast, it's just a talk. I'm on episode, I think, 8, 12. I don't know.
Proud of you, buddy.
Well, I'm all by myself. I had Southern Craftsman is a guy who did the blades, the saw blades. He was over next to Ryan and us in the restoration station. And he has created some amazing, a blend of Japanese and Western style saws in a Japanese pull saw.
I saw a lot of people walking around with those sticking out of their backpack also.
Well, they were selling for $60 each. I
mean, if you're in the market, that's pretty competitive.
That's a great price for a really good saw. It moves beautifully.
Yeah. I mean,
I was gonna say I don't know anything about that, so
you can probably get a Susian, Sweezen, or whatever for less money, but I bet you the steel's not the same, and I bet it doesn't hold an edge the same.
No, I don't think so either. I've got a couple Zet saws, and those are nice, but honestly, these are much nicer, and they look nicer too. Hold on, I'm gonna stand up. You guys could have talked while I was away. Jeez.
We're gonna see. Oh, you haven't even taken it out of the package?
Yeah, I keep it in the package. I hang it up.
Oh, okay.
So gorgeous steel, and look at that's what grabs me every time.
Yeah, so it's got that. It's got the brass, and then.
And then does he also sell replacement inserts for it, or offer something?
I believe so. Yes. Oh, this is so nice.
Look, it's like a Tupperware burp.
They're gorgeous pieces of machinery. And I was saying, I really like his logo.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So, I'm going to my plan. One of the things I need to do is actually Pat came out with a. I'm really sorry about that. Excuse me. He came out with a till, basically a CNC setup for all the Melbourne planes that he has.
Yeah.
So I got that and I changed it up a little bit. I changed the orientation of a couple pieces so I could fit it into a slightly smaller area. And I'm going to cut that out and put it on the wall behind me there. And I'm going to put those saw blades hanging up next to it so they all fit into a nicer area. And then my hope is that by doing that, I have a much nicer, more appropriate looking tool wall for a woodworker.
That actually is what a woodworker's shop normally looks like right behind you. You're missing large chunks of wood and like heaps of shavings if you were a turner.
Well, we talked about this a little bit before the show started, was, the perfectionism of a woodworking shop,
Yeah.
via watching YouTube videos and the walls of Festool and stuff, and you seem to be doing just fine without
Well,
having the
it's
perfect wall.
well, and I think I like to think that my shop represents what most of us are working out of. I'm in a 2-car garage.
Hmm.
I was in a 1-car, and this is what actually um, the reason why I started my Instagram lives is because after I finished the expansion of the shop and set stuff up, I was doing a live one day and I was talking about it, and then I was like, I said to the people on the live, I was like, we should. How cool would it be talking to other people and seeing how they set up their shops? And that's what sort of the genesis was of mine was is more talking about the workshop and talking about how you set it up and why you made some of the choices. And I always try to include that when we're talking to people because there's so many different ways to set it up. And like we were talking about, Mark has been this is his third big shop, and he came into this knowing, well, I'm gonna have this here and I'm gonna have this here and I'm gonna do that. Excuse me. But they had a table set up and he said, well, that didn't work. So because we dropped things off at that table and it became a useless area. And talking to different people about, well, I'm going to put electric in and make sure you have enough electric runs, and how did you set up um your
Your
dust
pan-
collection? Yeah, I talked to Pat and Carlina of Pine Bear and Pallet Works, and they put in all the ducting, and they have one place where it comes down. And he's like, yeah, if I'd have thought about it, I wouldn't have put this because it's right in the middle of the shop, but that's where now we have to hook up our jointers. So he's
Mhm.
like, I don't like the layout. So it's good. There's so much good stuff and different ways that people set up things. So you know,
Well, and everybody's space is different. Like, not
right,
everybody, you could have a 2-car garage. Like, Pat and Carlina are very, very different. They have a very large space back there, but it's kind of
right,
quirky because they have the upstairs area, they have, the big downstairs, but like everybody's space is going to be different. And I
right.
think we're all like constantly evolving with where do we put things, how do we reposition things when we get new tools and stuff like that. So,
Well, that was the big thing when I expanded this, trying to figure out the best. I actually I kept pretty much the same layout I had before, um, but then I had to because I moved where my wood was storage was. So I used to have it leaning against a wall I built next to the table saw, and I moved it against the wall behind me, which meant then that the tools that I had stored there on wheels I couldn't put there. So just trying to find that right layout. It is really. I think it's interesting trying to find out where you can put everything so that you can still maneuver and do your work but not get caught up in um, poor layout of one. I've got 6 electrical lines. One of my bad things is I've got dust collection hose, it lays across the floor. So I got to be careful about that space and how I use it. And I don't know. It's just interesting.
No, I'm with you. When I originally built my workshop, I was doing smaller projects and sort of mad scientist shit all the time, right? Like I hadn't even found wood turning yet when I built my shop. And so now I've got because they were clearancing them out at Lowe's, I bought enough cabinets to do 3 walls of my workshop with
Oh wow.
countertop cabinets, right? And it only came to like $700 for all of that, right? And so I've got a Formica countertop that's U-shaped that runs, I don't know, there's probably 40 foot of countertop there.
Wow. That's a lot. That's nice.
Well, you would think so. I never open those cabinets. Like they're just
Yeah.
places that I can like shove stuff, and then
Yeah.
when it comes time to remember where something is,
Yeah.
right? Like having cabinets is great because it occupies a large amount of space along the wall, but like
Yeah. Well, that's a
if
problem. Like you got to figure out where you can have cabinets and where you want to have open spaces. So The funny thing is, everything in my shop, almost everything. So the shelves and stuff over here beside me are from an old library, the school library. They tore out
Of
stuff.
course they are.
Yeah. So I saw them and I was like, "What are you guys doing with that?" "Oh, well, we're just gonna throw them out." "Can I take them?" "Sure." So I got those. I got a cabinet that I put on wheels, and my drum sander sits on top of. So that was a cabinet that they're throwing out. I bought a cabinet from Facebook Marketplace that butts up to my miter station, which this is actually kind of embarrassing. Um, was a bathroom vanity that I found on the side of the road when I was setting up my shop, and I was like, "This is perfect." And I just put a new door on, and like, it's yeah, whatever. You can't tell. I don't
One
care.
less box to build, brother. Like,
Right.
but yeah, no, and yeah, then I found wood turning, and then I realized that I was going to have to do something about shavings and all of that. And so, like, every evolution of the shop since then has been me cursing countertops and then finding ways to more effectively collect mountains of shavings into. I like the cardboard trash cans that they sell at the Home Depot.
Yeah.
Right, like
Ooh,
they fold flat, but like you can unfold them real quick, and it's like boom, trash can, right? And then I use
you
a
can
scoop.
burn the whole thing.
Yeah, one giant fire starter.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's yeah. Well, I mean that's really helpful to have that though, and that space, and you have all the cabinet doors too, so you can put shavings in there. Just shove them in.
yeah. Well, see, I learned, and again, it takes I wouldn't say years, but it takes several hundred hours to figure out that, like, I'm not a cabinets guy. I'm a drawers guy, right? And
Yeah.
this isn't like boxers or briefs. This is like I have figured it out. I should not be trusted with cabinets, even if they've got little trays that slide out.
No.
It's not me. No, I'm
No,
a
you
drawer
just
guy.
shove stuff in there. It is. It's a hold all.
Cabinets are where things go to like get lost and die,
All
and
right,
you
Yeah.
wait.
forget about them.
This is a really important question. When you were a child and your parents said, "Clean up your room," what did you do in the closet?
So for me, it wasn't the closet. I was actually just talking about this because we're working on my daughter's bedroom. Um, so I had one of those beds as a kid. It was like a loft bed kind of thing, but it
Yeah.
had like the dresser underneath. And so there was like four drawers, two on either side, and then the middle was like this cabinet door.
Yeah, that you were supposed to put your shoes in, right?
No, that cabinet is where things went to die.
Yep.
Oh,
If mom said clean your room, everything went in the middle of underneath my bed and never to be seen again. This is why I hate cabinets.
So years, probably about 10 years ago, I built my daughter a bed, and it was essentially, um, it's not a loft bed. It's just, no, but I guess about 3 feet off the ground. And there are two sets of drawers. The
Hmm.
first set is offset so that that's a step. And then the second one is built into the base of the bed. And then it's just a single mattress because she has a sleep number. So it just sits under there. But on the foot of the bed, I put a door on half of it because, it's against the wall. So that means you couldn't do drawers. So underneath was a whole crawl space. So you could go under there. She made at one point a little area with like um, a, a body pillow and stuff down there so
Hmm.
that she could go and hang out. But when she cleaned up, that's where everything went.
Hmm. Exactly.
Oh my God. When she went to college and my wife went in and goes, "Okay, I'm gonna clean out this room." Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad and
I can
underneath
imagine.
terrible.
Been there. I
Hmm.
mean, I was that kid. So
Exactly. See, that's what the cabinets are for.
there we go.
yeah. No, I
So
had
what
no
you're telling me
problem.
is drawers.
Yeah.
Drawers for my daughter's room.
Yes,
Yes.
So
drawers. No,
drawers.
I honestly think that if I could find in this world what is essentially a tool chest, but had like clothing depth drawers in it, right? It would be one of the greatest things that a human could spend money on. You could put it in a workshop and you could have a tool chest with nice deep drawers in it. Or you could put it in a child's bedroom and have the most luxurious changing table known to mankind once you get a little baby cradle so they don't fall off.
Well, they definitely have ones like that. But Jesse, if you're gonna make a lot of drawers, one of the easy ways to make them is pocket holes. And I know they're selling a pocket hole machine.
Oh yeah, I think it has like a Newman special
Yeah, yeah,
woodwork logo on it.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
Heard
the
about that.
fancy Brazilian one with
yeah,
the dust collection?
yeah, exactly. And
Wow.
the only downside to it is it does not come with a free turkey.
Well, not even for Thanksgiving.
No, no.
I got a
Sorry.
free turkey this year. Not to
What?
brag or anything.
Where?
At the grocery
From-
store, I spent enough money
Oh,
that they gave me a free turkey.
was it a butterball?
No.
Well, I wanted to see if that's why they gave you the free turkey. No one wants to buy these turkeys. Will you please take one? And it's probably tender. It's already been smacked around a couple times.
Oh my gosh. Well, good thing it's after dark with Sawdust Talk because
Sawdust Talk After Dark, yeah.
I don't know what you talked about. I didn't say anything.
So can we talk a little bit about the procedure if one of our listeners wanted to make a beautiful CNC machined roll top sculpture?
So that, and like I said, that was it was really neat making that and walking in. That was one of those things that I really have been thinking about making for a while. So for the people who don't know, who are listening, I made a whiskey cabinet tambour with a tambour door that had a 3D carving of a snake, and as you lift it up, the snake components bent at the tambour. So it's actually not that hard to make. The key, first of all, you need a good bandsaw blade to cut the section. So I have a crappy 10-inch Rikon. It's a terrible saw. But the blade and the blade I have is probably 10 years old as well. But it has minimum rake, so the teeth are very straight. So when it cuts, it gives you a very clean cut. So I cut. First, I forget how long the board was, but I actually measured out half an inch that I knew I was going to cut, and I numbered each section. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wouldn't, if I lost the pieces, I didn't get one out of place and have to try and figure it out. So that was the first big thing. So then you cut all the sections, and then I don't know that I did a video. I didn't do any video, and I have another one that I want to do. I'm only going to tell you guys this after I do it, because I have this and I love it and it's going to be awesome. But then what you do is you clamp the pieces down. You square them on both sides, all four sides really, and clamp it tight, and put glue on it and glue the backing on. That was really the key, is to get that on before you do anything else. So actually, after I did that, I did a 1/2-inch rabbet on the side. So imagine, right? I've got the piece, 28, 30 sections, whatever it was, glued together. So it's already floppy.
Mm-hmm.
So then I took it to the table saw, and that's how I rabbited it. Yeah, it wasn't bad because, again,
Butt pucker.
no, it wasn't bad because it's rolling against the fence. I just needed to make sure that it was held tight against the fence and the table. But I'm only taking off, I think I took off 3/8 of an inch, and on both sides. So I took off about a square. And the reason I did that is because I put it onto a piece of plywood to hold it flat, and I screwed down pieces to hold on to the sides to hold it really flat,
Mm-hmm.
so that the individual sections were each locked down and couldn't move. Then I went to the CNC and let it cut out. So each section was already glued in place. Everything was ready. It was just really held tight so that there was no movement. And then I CNC'd it out. See, easy.
That thing was
Anybody can do it.
beautiful.
Yeah. I admit when it came out, I was beyond thrilled. The only problem that happened was I thought I had taken off the profile cut to cut along the edge, and I didn't. So what my original plan was that I would use that 3/8 inch cut that I'd already done and make a rail for that to slide in the sides, and it would be able to move in that. But because it profiled in from that, that meant that my piece was thinner than I imagined, and I could not add anything on. So the fun thing was, all right, I used a, oh god, why can't I think of the name of this keyhole bit? I used a keyhole bit in my CNC to cut, a track basically on the sides that I was going to put this in. And then I used my bench topper, and I have a jig set up for the Milescraft drill press, the one that you hold your drill in, right? And so I actually drilled a 1/8 inch hole in 3/8 inch material, and I drilled a hole in each section so that I could screw in a 1 1/4 inch Craig screw with a pan head. And God, I anybody listening is probably confused as hell right now, but the pan head of the Craig screw ran in the track cut by the keyhole bit. So
So you
that's
made a bearing of sorts that rode in the track.
right, because it was round, so it would be able to move. My original plan had been to put a washer on it, but the washers wound up being just, I felt like they were too close to each other. I was afraid that when it bent, they would lock. So the round part of the Craig screw was enough because it didn't actually ride on the inside. The metal of the, and this is why it had to be a 1 1/4 inch Craig screw, because it has threads for about the first 3/4, and then the last half has no threads. So that non-threaded component was what rode on the wooden track and allowed it to move. Wow.
That's just perfect.
I really hope, Jesse, did you understand any of that?
I did because I saw the piece and I know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I like
I do know two things. Two things. One, I love that you share like successes and failures with your art that you do and the things that you make. Number two is from Maker Camp. Don't point out the crap you did wrong because nobody knows.
I
Like,
know.
I think that was the first thing you said to me. You were like, can you see this right here? And I'm like, don't point it out. Like, literally nobody's gonna see it. Like, everybody's looking at like this cool thing you made with the snake that's carved in, and it's like tambored. Like, it's amazing.
So
Nobody was looking at that tiny little groove.
my wife has been saying to me for years to stop doing that. And I think the reason I do it, I think there's a couple reasons I do it. One is I don't want people to look at that and think that I'm perfect and that I didn't make mistakes. I don't want them to think that I know what the hell I'm doing, because half the time I don't. Right? I made that up. I made it up as I went along, and it just happened to work. And I don't like I don't I want people to see that there are mistakes there. The other part of it is that it's a mistake that I don't know. I just, it's really, there are mistakes that are present, and I think it adds to me the story, the build story of how it came out.
But is that the first one you've ever made?
Yes,
Okay, then stop talking.
it came out great. I was very happy. My favorite was I showed it to Jimmy, and I have a video of him going, making a noise and moving it, and he walked away, and he came back past it, and he had to stop and run his hand down it. He had to feel it again. You're like,
Who got that piece in the maker swap?
Gary Colomb. He is in the he was in the restoration station with me. He had a white beard. I was very happy he got it. That made me very excited. And then the part that I'll tell you guys, I'm going to do another one. I want to do Han Solo, frozen in carbonite. Yep. And so I want to do it same style, but I want to laser engrave the um, if you I don't know how much you guys are in Star Wars. If you know, there's the Imperial logo and the Rebel logo, and I've seen it where the two cross, and then at the bottom it says "Choose wisely." So if it's a whiskey cabinet, I just feel like that the two pieces, along with Han Solo, really go together.
That's going to be a beefy
CNC
carve.
I have one that I did that did not come out very good, and it did take about 1.5 inches worth of material. But I think the biggest problem is that it's trying to elevate it. It's trying to make like a solid slab for it to be on, and I just need to figure out a way to make it so it's not on that. If that makes sense.
It would take some very, very careful registration, but I suppose you could register and clamp each of those 30 pieces individually and pray that you could CNC them as 30 projects instead of one big one. Is that a concern?
Oh, God, no.
Again, like no distance is too far to walk if you've got the time, says Mark Twain.
Yes, I don't have the time. No, I think I'm going to do what I did before. I just need to figure out a better way to program it. And really, for me, and I'm sure you guys understand this so well, is there a way we can add time to the day that we can have just for ourselves?
Yeah, the day stretcher, I think, has been in development by some of the brainiacs over at
Acme Tools.
Yeah, Acme Tools, Google Labs, and I think there's some Black Ops people at NASA stretching hours in outer space.
Okay. I was afraid you were going to say Apple because I can't afford that subscription.
I couldn't be told how to use it
many.
by a genius, so yeah, that's a loss for me. But yeah, no, I think they use the day stretcher on the space station.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can get some of that technology to go public and be.
But you guys know how it is. There's just not enough time to do everything that you want to do. Although, and I'm really excited. I have not this Thursday, next Thursday, I have a new 60 watt CO2 laser coming, and so that's another addition, another thing I got to figure out.
What brand is it?
Eon, AEON. It is the Eon Redline Mira 7. It is their newest line. Like, you look at this thing, it is, if you check all the specs, everything, it is the fastest laser out there. It's got like this really cool enclosure inside, so everything is enclosed. It's a beautiful looking machine. It's got all the bells and whistles, so I'm really, really excited to learn how to use it.
Right on.
I mean, my big thing is I saw, one of the other things I saw were templates made out of MDF. And for me to cut those templates, if I cut 2 of them at a time, it takes 30 minutes to cut them out. And that's just, it's not efficient. If I get an order for it and then all the work I have to do afterwards. So I really want to try and do I want to cut out of acrylic. I want to do clear acrylic and engrave it and get a nicer look that way.
You can do that with the 60 watt for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know what program you're going to run for your laser?
Lightburn. I'll do Lightburn.
Right on.
I have Lightburn. I've been using it. And, I used the X Tool stuff a couple of times, and it is pretty nice. It's just to me, the X Tool creative space is sort of like the I, on the CNC. I'm using Carveco now, which really Carveco Maker Plus, really fantastic. On my old one, I used Easel, which is a online, right? Pretty easy, pretty intuitive. You put the picture in, you do whatever. It's like that. It's the simple versus the complex, more what's the word I'm looking for? More capable version. So that's Lightburn to me, is it's much more capable. Xtool Creative Space, just it's a starter kit.
Yeah. So it's like a beginner friendly, you'd say.
I would. It's definitely beginner friendly. I think it's a really great program overall. But Lightburn obviously has far more capabilities. You can do a lot more with it. And so, oh,
Yeah.
that's my story.
Well, Logan, in the name of turkey naps, turkey preparedness, and a day spent consuming mass turkey, I think we're probably going to wrap some things up. We didn't
As we
give you
should.
a primer on this in the green room prior to the show, so be prepared for your easily manageable curveball. But we got to take one more lap through sponsors, the first of which is Surf Prep Sanders and Abrasives. They've got a 6-inch random orbit sander that might as well have a Ferrari logo on it in addition to the Surf Prep logo. If you know a thing or two about sanders and their dust collectors and you need to remove some material post haste, get one of those and use coupon code Sawdust Talk to purchase it. Helps the show a little bit, save you a couple of bucks, and it's countable money. Like, it's definitely foldable money that you'd save with that code. So code Sawdust Talk on Surf Prep's website. Makers for St. Jude. Get a hold of Mike. Get involved. Get awesome. Casey Bombshell Designs. Layla, thank you for hosting our stuff. If you like tattoo flash inspired scroll saw wall art, also check out her body of work. Really, really fun stuff. Very geek chic and pleasant to look at. And
like that.
Patreon. Let's talk about Patreon/Sawdust Talk. Buy us a cup of coffee every month because, I mean, you're here, you're listening at the end of the show. You may have even learned something or had some fun. Help us get to events. Come meet us in person. Give me a high five for real. Yeah, right? Go team.
Logan, thank you for coming on tonight. We appreciate you so much. I know it's the night before Thanksgiving and
we all
need sleep.
I appreciate you guys reaching out to me the last minute to say that there's no one else we can find to fill this time frame. Would you mind spending the night before you go get turkey and coming out? I appreciate you. Listen, getting picked last still means you get picked.
Yep, you're on the team, and that's what's important.
You know I love you. Stop it.
All right. You do need a final question before we close the stream, because every one of our guests gets a final question. And I forgot to prime you on this in the green room, and I'm not sorry. Every week I ask our guests to give a thought, a motivational quote, something that gets you excited, to get our listeners to open the door to their shops, make a mess, pick up a tool, get awesome. What would you like to share with our listeners as a final parting thought?
And you can't say easy.
I have one thing that I always go to, and that's failure is an option. Failure is the only option. You have to fail to succeed. You have to make mistakes to get better. You have to fall down in order to be able to get up and do better. And the one thing I truly believe, the one thing I push, I tell my students, I want you to fail. And it's not that I want them to fail at what they're doing. I want them to make a mistake, because the only way you can grow and get better is to make a mistake. And the only way you can do better is to know what happens if you do it wrong. Right? So you make a mistake, you learn how to fix things later on. So when we talk about you don't need to point out your mistakes. But I'm also proud of those mistakes that I made because I fixed it, and it's hard to see at times. So there you go. Failure is an option.
Overcoming adversity is the reason why Hollywood exists.
I thought it was to make money, but okay.
Again, there would be no movies if we didn't have to overcome adversity.
That's true. That is true.
They would all be boring.
Or love stories.
There's still adversity to overcome.
That's right. He has to run through the rain holding up the boombox.
Mm-hmm. She has to go back to her small town in time for the holidays.
No.
He's the one that got away.
No Hallmark movies.
Okay, fine.
I'm like,
Again,
this is turning into a rom-com.
They have adversity to overcome. I mean, is she going to spend the rest of her life with the man who catches lightning-struck beach glass?
I think, yeah, she does.
Yeah, I know. She
Of course
does.
She does.
She finds a sweet home in Alabama, I think. So that's good.
And they get to run the coffee shop. That's always been their dream.
Mhm.
Yep.
I've always
bed.
wanted to be in a coffee shop 16 hours a day, serving coffee to assholes. I'm sorry, dumb people.
All right, boys and girls, let's wrap it up. Logan, don't log off immediately once we finish the stream, and boys and girls, we will see you next week. Probably not same bat time, probably not same bat channel, but we will be on, and there will be guests, and there will be fun.
Peace out.
Okay, bye.